What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Welcome back to another edition of Matchday Reloaded live here in Panenka Studios. Yes, the virtual Matchday Reloaded studios here. Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 1. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about all the reaction after last night's Premier League draw at Crystal Palace's Selhurst Park yesterday evening. Look, it's an interesting one. I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking about this morning when I woke up. I slept on it and I was thinking, how do I feel? How do I feel after yesterday? And it's still, look, it's really disappointing. I've got two schools of thought about it, to be honest. One school of thought is we didn't lose. We didn't lose. The sirens are going because we got stolen 3 points last night. I joke. Exactly. No, look, I'm still disappointed in the sense that it does feel like 2 points dropped. It does. I think when you're winning a game for what we scored our goal on just before half time. So when you're leading a game for 45 minutes and they equalise in the 90th minute or 91st minute, 90 minute plus the first minute of stoppage time, it's disappointing. It's really disappointing, and ultimately we really only have ourselves to blame for that. I just felt, particularly in that second half, we were lethargic, we were sloppy on the ball, we lacked that quality, and we just weren't at it enough. The intensity wasn't there. But I was talking to Flex after the game yesterday, and we were sort of saying it, and I think it's worth pointing out, away from home, it's kind of been like that this season. Think back to it. Yes, obviously we got absolutely smashed by Man City away from home. Yes, we lost to Aston Villa away from home. But if you think back to that Villa defeat, it was kind of the same. We were very lethargic and we were very slow. Even the games we have won away from home this season, when you think about Wolves recently, when you think about Leicester, when you think about Southampton, even Fulham, when we beat Fulham with the Garnacho last-minute winner, they're all those kind of games, aren't they, where you go, United played okay. United played okay, but could have been better, looked lethargic, looked a bit leggy, looked a bit fatigued. And, I mean, everything just kind of fell apart in 10 minutes because you had, in the 80th minute, you're 1-0 up and you're thinking, right, continue the momentum. Not our best, but continue the momentum. Good collective team performance. Casemiro hasn't been booked yet. And then what happens? Casemiro gets booked. He's now not available for the Arsenal game at the Emirates on Sunday. We then concede late on. And honestly, I think if I'm going to be as objective as I possibly can here today, I think Palace deserved it. When you look at the chances, David De Gea first half, unbelievable save. Oh, what a save in the first half. That tip onto the bar, it's a sensational save. Second half also makes a save from a corner. More routine, but still a very good save from De Gea. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka, right at the death, after it was 1-1, makes a game-saving tackle for us. It could have been way, way worse. We could have seen a complete capitulation last night after that booking, concede, and then concede another one. If it wasn't for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, it could have been way, way worse. So it's 2 points dropped. That's what it feels like certainly this morning. It's not the end of the world. It's not doom and gloom. There are going to be setbacks. Clearly there are going to be setbacks this season. You cannot and we will not win every single game. I think that it shows how far we've come in the sense of we concede a late goal, we draw away from home, Crystal Palace, difficult place to go, and we're like, it feels like a loss. It feels like a defeat. And it is a somewhat deflating feeling heading into this real big game at the weekend and not having Casemiro. It's extra layer of worry. But still, on the face of it, you would go, since we've come back from the World Cup, we still haven't lost a game. And we've been conceding infrequently. The goal, you can't do anything about their goal. It's an absolute unbelievable free kick. You can certainly do something about giving away set pieces as the game went on. I think, the stats were coming up on the screen during the game that Palace have scored the most percentage of their goals from set pieces this season out of any Premier League club. So if you give them that opportunity, chances are they will take it. So again, it's just disappointing. It's just, as Manish says there, it's just a sucker punch. It's a sucker punch, plus the Casemiro stuff, plus all that kind of stuff. It's tough. Now, that does not mean we're not going to go to the Emirates and we're definitely going to lose at the weekend. It's more difficult. No doubt about that. I think Arsenal are probably the favourites anyway. Now you would argue they're probably a bit more of the favourites without Casemiro. But as Erik ten Hag said, and we'll get into the quote shortly, we beat Casemiro without them this season, and now we've got to do it again. So, look, there's plenty to get into this morning, guys. There's plenty of reaction. It's a really interesting reaction because I have seen quite sort of a diverse reaction to last night's result. I've seen people saying, it's really disappointing, 2 points dropped, poor from Ten Hag. Some people were saying in terms of playing Casemiro, in terms of not taking Casemiro off earlier, or some of the substitutions, or that kind of stuff. There are some people that are saying, look, we've still come a really long way. These things are going to happen. We're still unbeaten. It's still a decent point away from home. We have to move on quickly. And I'm not sure where I fall. I think I fall into the middle there. I'm not going to go in too much on Erik ten Hag. Should Casemiro have played last night? Yes. I think Casemiro should have played last night because he wanted to win that game. Casemiro won the ball back more times than anyone else on the pitch. Should Casemiro have played 80 minutes? Probably not. That would be my thing. I think when you go 1-0 up, 65, 70 minutes, you take him off. I know Fred was also on a booking, but you could have brought on McTominay for Casemiro. I think it's that. But as I said, you can't win every game. The players certainly look tired, really leggy. I think the hangover of the Manchester derby, plus the anticipation for the Arsenal game. This was such a difficult game. And ultimately, we just couldn't get it done. And as I mentioned, it could have been way worse, way worse, given the saves that De Gea made and Aaron Wan-Bissaka's chances as well. A couple of decisions you could have argued could have gone our way. McTominay, I think it's a penalty, but I don't think we should focus on that too much. Yes, in those tight games, they can kind of be determined on those kind of things, in the sense that if we'd have got that penalty and scored, it would have been 2-0, would have been game over. I think it's a penalty. Like I said, I think McTominay gets there first. I guess from the referee's perspective, it wasn't, or VAR's perspective, it wasn't clear and obvious for the referee decision to be overturned. I don't know. But as Erik ten Hag said also, and we'll get to his quotes just in a second or so, you have to put yourself into a position whereby you're not relying on VAR, you're not relying on anything like that. That's what you have to. You have to put yourself into that position where you're not even relying on anything like that. And ultimately, we didn't do that. Tank says close, red card as well. I thought there should have at least been a look at that with the Martinez elbow. I thought there should have been at least a look at it, because not that I think it was deliberate from the Palace player, but it's just the swing of the arm is significant. The swing of the arm backwards into his face, into his head, I thought was too much motion. And again, I thought they'd look at it, but they didn't. They didn't look at it. And again, I don't want to focus too much on decisions like that, because we could have done more in that game, certainly. So be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As I mentioned, we're going to get loads of reaction this morning. Reaction from the likes of Flex, Marcel, DJ, outside Selhurst Park. Also, Mina, Haley from UVHQ. We've got the match view highlights as well. So there's still plenty to get into this morning. As far as reactions from the players and the manager, Bruno Fernandes, the captain after the game, the goal scorer after the game, although we're going to talk about Bruno a bit later on, his second half performance did leave a lot to be desired, I felt, said, "We knew it was tough to play here. We could even have lost. We are not happy with a draw and should have taken our chances to close the game. We missed chances, one pass more, or the cross and pass was not good enough. We are not happy with 1 point, but we have to look forward now. We have to understand we are still doing good things." And it's interesting that Bruno mentions that himself there, because yes, we do have to understand we are still doing good things, and we are still doing good things, I think. But when he says we are not happy with 1 point, the one pass more or the cross and the pass was not good enough, I would hope he's talking to himself, because in that second half, his passing was horrific. His passing was absolutely horrendous second half. He was giving the ball away. He was sloppy on the ball. He wasn't taking care of it. He was trying passes that weren't on, which I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with Bruno trying the Hollywood ball, because he does have it in his locker, and he does sometimes play percentages in that case. But last night was an example of, don't do it every time. Try it once, try it twice. If it's not working, okay, a couple of times, take care of it. It just felt so often in that second half, it was Bruno gets the ball, gives it away, sloppy pass, sloppy touch. Bruno gets the ball, can't find his man. Bruno gets the ball, tries something that's not on. That's what it felt like last night with Bruno. And he wasn't the only one. I don't want it to seem like I'm singling out or anything like that. He did get the goal in the first half, and the one moment in the game that he showed composure, he scored. The one moment where he took a touch, and I didn't think he was going to take a touch for the goal. He took the touch and put the ball away nicely. That was perfect. Second half, he had a really good opportunity to do that. Ball came over, and I think he took a touch again. And this time, I think he should have just hit it first time and put it across goal. That was it. He tried to cut it back to Scott McTominay, who was coming in around sort of the penalty spot, and I didn't think that was the right option. And that phrase there probably sums United up in the second half in particular, just not taking the right option. That's what it was. Didn't take the right option, didn't take an extra touch from required, didn't have the composure, and it's just, again, it's frustrating. But that has kind of been the situation for United away from home this season. Bruno continues saying, Scott McTominay got onto the ball. The guy from Palace tried to tackle him, but decisions can go either way. We can't be worried about it now. It's gone. David De Gea also spoke after the game saying, second half from the beginning, we lost easy balls, not tempo in the game, and lost control of the game. They started to create chances, scored a great goal, 2 points lost today. And you know what? I think that's absolutely spot on by David De Gea. I think that's what I'm trying to say in all of my mangled words this morning. I think David De Gea's got it spot on there. You know, second half, in the first half, we were on top. We were the better team. Weren't great still, but we were on top. We had control of the game, I felt. And we looked the team more like scoring. You get a goal just before half time. Perfect time to score. And then second half, as he said, from the beginning, we just lost the easy balls. There wasn't really any tempo. We didn't manage the game appropriately. You know, when you're away from home, if you're 1-0 up away from home, anywhere in the Premier League, as time goes on, the away crowd, if it stays 1-0, they'll get up because they'll think, look, we can still get something out of this. And a chance will come, or a big tackle will come in, or a referee decision will happen, and the crowd will pick themselves up. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened at Selhurst Park last night. Casemiro gets booked. And suddenly the crowd's up going, here we go, they might lose their heads here. They had a couple of opportunities and they got the goal that they were looking for. And ultimately, probably deserved as well. So we just didn't manage it. And we knew that, really, coming into the second half. I remember specifically us saying it on the match view. You know, let's manage this. Let's make sure we come out second half firing, because we didn't against City and we didn't again against Palace last night. De Gea says about Weghorst, he did well, he's a big lad, helps the team in both areas, but he helped the team. A great debut. We're going to talk about Weghorst later on. When it comes to De Gea on Casemiro being out against Arsenal, he said, one of our best players cannot play against one of the best teams. I don't understand why we had to play today and they didn't. That could make the difference on Sunday. He's a big loss for us. Look, when we're talking about fixture congestion, look, it is what it is. This season's crazy for fixture congestion, unfortunately, isn't it? I never like to look at the like the fixture list or fixture congestion. He could bring up a point as if to say, why didn't Arsenal have their game in hand today against Man City? But Man City are playing this evening against, was it Spurs? So they couldn't do it. And ultimately, I don't like looking at, again, excuses, fixture list, referees' decisions. We didn't do enough. Now, when it comes to Erik ten Hag, his reaction after the game last night, he said, quote, if you concede a goal 1 or 2 minutes before the end, it is difficult. We have to take the lesson and invest more in the second goal. And we did say this after the game last night. The positive, and again, a positive coming out of last night's game, and there are a couple still. There are still reasons to be positive about United at the moment this season. We're still in the top 4. We're still looking up as opposed to down. And we are way further along in the process than I think a lot of people thought we would be. The positive you can take from it is every time there's been a setback this season, what's happened? Erik ten Hag reacts. Manchester United react. They learn a lesson. And I would think Ten Hag again would learn a lesson, or certainly would tell his squad the lesson that they should have learned last night, which is you have to kill the game off. You can't be sloppy. You can't go through the games in patches, in moments. And you have to be disciplined. And as he said against City, you can't be naive. You can't be naive against Manchester City at Old Trafford. But in the same vein, you can't be naive against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park. You can't take your eye off it for a second because you will get punished. And again, you have to kill the game off. Now, when it came to the yellow card for Casemiro, Ten Hag said, quote, it was instinctive. He went for the ball, missed it. It was a dangerous situation. He wanted to stop it, and that was his reaction. I watched it back this morning, and that's the other disappointing thing with the Casemiro suspension. It's entirely avoidable. I mean, really avoidable. It's just such a wasteful yellow card and such a sloppy yellow card to give away. It's a poor pass from Casemiro in the first place. Bruno, again, he's sloppy. But he takes down, was it Zaha? But they're not through. They're not through. When you watch it back, at the time I thought, oh, he did it because they were going to be through on goal and all that kind of stuff. They weren't through. There was cover. It wasn't as if he was the last line of defence. It was avoidable. And the really frustrating thing now, in retrospect, is it was for nothing. Well, it was for a point. But I'd have rather him not done the foul, taken the chance, bet on your defenders, bet on your goalkeepers, and have him play for the weekend. Of course, that didn't happen. So it's disappointing. And it was a really rash tackle. Really, really rash tackle. Like, there was no way the referee wasn't going to give a booking for that. 80th minute, if you're trying to scissor someone, you're going to get booked. And they knew it, and everyone knew it straight away. The cameras went straight on him. The cameras went on Ten Hag. He shook his head. It was just almost a moment of madness. And I want to give Casemiro credit as well, because he was so disciplined the whole game, and he was brilliant the whole way through the game. Again, he won the ball back more than anyone else, and he wasn't putting himself in tackles, and you could feel it. You could, even watching it on TV, you could feel it radiating off him. He wanted to put his foot in. He wanted to put a couple of slide tackles in, and a couple of times he did, and he won the ball. But that one, there was no one, sitting here or here this morning, however you're watching this, or wherever you are around the world, no one's thinking this morning Casemiro didn't deserve to get booked, because it was the most blatant yellow card you're ever going to see. But as Ten Hag said after the game, quote, "Last time we beat Arsenal without Casemiro, now we have to do the same." Indeed, that's what we have to do. He also said, quote, "Players have to make sure they are ready for the game against Arsenal. A top game and fantastic to be involved. We are looking forward now and need to bring the convincement to win it." That was most of the quotes, or a couple more here, saying, quote, "We have to invest more in that second goal and then not be in that situation that a lucky moment cost you 2 points. We were 1-0 up in the second half. We had a lot of space to kill the game or kill them and go for the second. I never saw we really went for that second goal." And again, I think that's it. I think that's it. He also says, quote, "It's difficult to say why. I have to criticise my team. Go for the second. Bruno, Rashi on the wings, Garnacho, a lot of creativity, speed and power, and McTominay with penetration in behind." And also, look, I mean, Casemiro, he could have made up for the booking, because he could have, maybe should have scored. Last minute, corner, ball in. He just doesn't anticipate it coming in, and he somehow misses the ball, and that would have been euphoric. You'd have been, yes, Casemiro missed out, but we'd have got the 3 points, late last minute winner. We'd have been buzzing this morning. And again, it's frustrating. It's frustrating and it's disappointing. Ten Hag said finally, quote, "You have to accept the decisions from VAR, from the referees. I look in the mirror. I look to my team. I look to my own managing and coaching and say, invest more in the second goal, and then you avoid situations you are dependent on the referee." Which is something, a bit of a key theme there, isn't it? It's basically him saying, yes, we maybe should have had decisions that went our way. Yes, we were unfortunate with certain decisions. There could have been a red card, maybe should have been a penalty. But at the same time, you can't control. You don't know what the referee's going to do. You don't know what the referee isn't going to give you, whether you deserve it or not, whether it's the right decision or not. What you can control is your own performance. What you can control is you putting the ball in the back of the net, and we didn't do that enough last night. That's the crux of it. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Over 500 people watching. Less than 100 likes. We can do better. Of course we can. Let's get some reaction from Selhurst Park last night. Let's start off with Fleck. Fleck was outside Selhurst Park for Manchester United's 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace in the Premier League. Here's what he had to say.
I think the 3 points were there for the taking, considering we was 1-0 up. And we were just too passive. Even in the first half, even though we get a goal, it just wasn't good enough. Manchester United just didn't attack today. We didn't attack. We didn't start attacking or playing with any intensity or purpose until we conceded the free kick in the 90th minute. It just wasn't good enough. And actually, it's just a reminder to us as fans that obviously we're going to suffer blips, and that this team, the level of the intensity and the level of performance is going to keep rising and falling. That's just how it is. And Erik Ten Hag even said it against Manchester City. He said he was not happy. You know, obviously celebrate the win, etc. It was a good comeback. But the same theme happened in terms of not raising our level. I thought Palace didn't offer much today. And we had an element of control over the game. But when you say that and you look at the chances that were created or lack of for Manchester United and the couple for Palace, David De Gea is the one who has to make the saves. You know, he makes a really good save, I think, from Mateta and tips that onto the bar, which was a fantastic save in the first half. He makes a good save, I think he makes a save. I was right down the other end, but I think he made a save from a header. And obviously couldn't do anything about the free kick. And I look at Gaeta and I'm like, well, he conceded the first goal from Bruno. And other than that, we didn't trouble him all game. It just was not good enough. If I speak about individuals, attacking-wise, I thought Anthony's just been absolutely way off it, especially today. Not taking on players, being really predictable. I always say it's a good thing that he works hard off the ball, which is why he probably gets the nod. But offensively, he has to improve. He's far too predictable. You know exactly what he's going to do before he gets the ball at the moment. Barring when he's got a little bit of space and you let him cut inside and find that far post, there doesn't seem to be much there at this present time. He needs time. The team needs time, and it will happen. But I can only judge it off what I've seen tonight and obviously what I've seen of him. And he's not going past players. He's not giving us enough. Rashi today, this is his first. I think tonight was his first bad game in a little while. You know, you can't expect him to always be at it, but his level dropped way below par today. He just wasn't taking on Klein. Old habits creeping in. His decision making wasn't quite there.
Big up Flex, as always, from Selhurst Park yesterday. Got a couple of member chats in. Let's get those up on the screen. As always, Steffi Jenks been a member for 6 months. Appreciate 6 months of support. Says, maybe we go again, but this time we have faith. Come on, United. Indeed, we have to have faith. We have to back our team. We have to hope. And, you know, not expect, but believe. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Believe we can get a result at the weekend, certainly. And David Lee has also been a member for 6 months. Says, big up everyone. Big up David Lee, as always. I do want to talk a bit about Casemiro and the miss for the weekend. It was something that I said during my fan view after the game last night. It does worry me. And it's funny because I think there were some comments on it that said, you know, oh, you chicken or anything like that. Yeah, but look, you want your best players to play in a big game. You want your best players to play against the best teams. Is it a miss? Absolutely. Of course it's a miss. Casemiro has been such a fantastic player for us this season. And he has been one of the real reasons for the big turnaround that we have seen recently. Casemiro in the middle of that midfield, he's been the linchpin. He's just been... You know, it's not even winning the ball back. It's him passing the ball. It's him, you know, winning. It's him progressing the ball forward. He's so much more than a ball-winning midfielder. He's everything. He's everything to that midfield. He is everything in there. But at the same time, just because we don't have Casemiro does not mean we're going to go to the Emirates and we definitely can't get a result. Of course we can go to the Emirates and get a result. We have to believe we can get a result. If anything, you know, now it's upon these Manchester United players to be even more disciplined, to make sure they're not as naive as they were last night, as they have been at points this season, because you don't have that experience. You don't have the class of Casemiro in there. You don't have that. So with Fred playing, with whoever Ten Hag decides to go with, they need to be so disciplined in there, and they need to make sure that they put in a performance. And in terms of options, it's going to be really interesting to see what he indeed does do, Ten Hag. Does he do what Kenny was saying on the full view? I mean, it's interesting. It's almost prophetic, isn't it? That Kenny was saying this on Monday, saying what happens if Casemiro gets injured or suspended. Does he decide to put Lisandro Martinez in central defensive midfield? Does he go, look, I could put McTominay in there, and yeah, he could win the ball back, but he's not as good on the ball as Martinez. Fred, you would think, might play anyway, because it might be a similar situation to Manchester City, where Fred does a job on either Odegaard or Partey and just follows him around for the whole game. Maybe it's worth having Leacher in there and then moving Luke Shaw to left centre-back again, having Malacia at left-back, because Malacia could do possibly what he did against Saka at Old Trafford. And to be honest, that battle between Saka and Malacia was tough for Malacia at Old Trafford. A couple of times Saka got the better of him, but sometimes he didn't. And particularly against Mahrez in the Manchester derby, Malacia was all over him like a rash, absolutely on him. Maybe that's the route now that Ten Hag will go. He'll think, I'll put Leacher in there. Obviously, we know his defensive capabilities. We know his ability to win the ball. We know his ability to pass the ball. He has played in that position before for Ajax. He came in as a backup left back initially at Ajax, then moved to a defensive midfielder, then eventually moved to centre back. So that could be a possibility. And again, and maybe that's what he'll do. What does that say about Scott McTominay? I'm not sure. But now Ten Hag's got decisions to make, certainly. He's got decisions to make, and he's got... It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. But at the same time, I don't feel comfortable going into that game at the Emirates going, we've lost because Casemiro isn't playing. I don't feel comfortable with that, honestly. I still think there's opportunities for us to get points. I still think there's opportunities for us to get a result. And the reaction and the mentality and the mindset, I think, of the United fans will be totally different if we go to the Emirates and get a win. Again, we can't win every game, but if we win the big games, which we've done pretty well in doing this season, we'll be talking about. It's funny, isn't it? Because after the City game, there was this discussion of, are we in a title race? And some people were saying yes, and some people were saying wait till the end of January. Last night, now it's like we're definitely not in a title race. But make no mistake, if we beat Arsenal at the weekend, people will be going, we're in a title race. we're in a title race again. So, there, as Ten Hag said, it's January. There's plenty of time to go. There's plenty of results to go in our favour and against us as well. There's points to be dropped. There's points to be won. There's slip-ups, which are going to happen. And as Mina said last night, we've got to take it one game at a time. The next game is Arsenal at the Emirates. Casemiro is going to be a miss, but it is what it is. Bruno Fernandes, as I mentioned, he got his goal last night, but at the same time, second half I thought he was really, really sloppy, and we need to see more from him at the Emirates. But at the same time, that's 2-2, because he scored in the Manchester derby as well. I'm almost conflicted in how I feel this morning. I have to keep reminding myself that we didn't lose last night. It's just, as Mush says there, disappointed. That's it. That's it. It's just disappointed. That's just kind of that feeling for us. And again, maybe that's a sign of how far we have come, because a 1-1 draw away from Palace is not the worst result in the world. But we're disappointed because we should have won that game, because it feels like points drop. Big Up Mina says, I don't think Leach should go CDM because Erik ten Hag usually trials something before doing it in a big game. That's certainly possible. And what else we got here? Abid says, Arsenal signing Trossard. I did just see that. I did just see, was it Fabrizio Romano tweeted that, saying, exclusive, Arsenal would open talks to sign Leandro Trossard. Negotiations are advanced with an official bid ready. So it does look like Trossard's going to be going to Arsenal, which isn't too much of a surprise. We were actually talking about this before we went live yesterday evening, saying that kind of felt like it would make sense, considering they're certainly in the market for a winger, and he's now available, but he won't be available to play against us at the weekend anyway. We've got nearly 700 people watching. Still less than 100 likes, guys. We can do it. We can do better. Let's get to 150, 200, 250. You know how it is. Matchday Reloaded here in Panenka Studios. Let's get some more reaction. Let's go to Marcel. Marcel spoke to Flex outside Selhurst Park. Here's what Marcel had to say.
I think I felt kind of positive still after the first half. 1-0, we're going to build into the game. I was saying to you, Ten Hag's going to give them the rocket and tell them, listen, up the tempo, up and the desire.
That's the disappointing thing, isn't it? That didn't happen. At half time, there wasn't really a reaction. It was more of the same, if not worse.
If worse, definitely worse. And you know, their fans building into the game, you know, and you saw the ultras getting up and getting excited, and you thought, okay, well, they had good spells in the second half, you know. There was a couple of times where Elisa's breaking lines and doing his thing, but Wan-Bissaka was fantastic in the whole game. You know, his 1v1 battles, carrying the ball, he's turned on a different level. And Luke Shaw was brilliant as well today. So our fullbacks and our defensive line, that's
what's annoying, because we actually defended well today. There was an element of calmness about what they did. Yep. But Palace made like the two best chances, and obviously they stuck the free kick in the top bins, and like, do you look at that and say we had that dominance? Do you think that's something that Ten Hag will be most frustrated about, that actually we had an element of calm, but then we didn't create anything, but they managed to make the hater work, and we didn't make guy to work?
Listen, you said it, you know, the top teams kill that kind of opposition. You know, when you got all this ball possession and there's no end product. You know, there's no end product in a game like this. The top teams will just hit them for 3, 4, 5. And, you know, we had a lot of possession. We should have been executing chances. Rashford had a couple moments to play Garnacho in, you know. A couple of times where he should have just played the ball into Garnacho, and Garnacho found it hard to get into the game, you know. Ten Hag made the subs at the right times. Maybe should have put Casemiro off. You know, just to protect him.
Well, how are you feeling about that now? He's not going to be part of the Arsenal game.
That's a massive miss. I've seen Fred in the 10, and he does good work laterally and closes angles, but Casemiro today snuffing out all the danger. You know, even if it's blocks or tackles where you don't win the ball but you just get it out for clearances, we're going to miss that in abundance. You know, and it's away from home. You got to battle. We just didn't show enough fight and enough quality. So we suffered today, and Weghorst didn't look like, you know, prolific in front of goal, but was pressing a lot. You know, that's a positive. Anthony, poor. Ericsson played well again, but it started to dwindle towards.
Big up Marcel, as always, outside Selhurst Park. They're talking to Flex after United's 1-1 draw against Palace. I do want to talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because I think it's fair and right to talk about Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because last night, once again, as he was in the Manchester derby, as he has been since the World Cup was over, since forcing his way back into the Manchester United side, or certainly getting an opportunity to get back into the United side because of the injury to Diogo Dalot. Aaron Wan-Bissaka was man of the match for Manchester United last night. He was brilliant. He was absolutely superb once again. Not even necessarily because of his defensive duties, which he was excellent with. I mean, again, he really he saves the game for us. He saves us at least a point with that tackle in the last minute against Zaha. But I mean, I've criticised. I used to always say Aaron Wan-Bissaka has condition. He has Brock foot. But now he's been cured. There is no Brock foot at the moment on Aaron Wan-Bissaka. His touch is excellent. It is excellent. And his interchange, his give and go, that he felt like a player last night that was playing with a chip on his shoulder. And I like that. I like seeing players that feel like they have something to prove. And he had double amounts to prove last night. One, he's still proving to people that, hey, we don't think you're good enough. You don't have the technique. You don't have the attacking prowess. Defensively, you're okay, but you can be a bit sloppy. It's always last-ditch tackles. So he's still proving that. And he's still proving it to his manager. Because let's face it, if Dalot was still fit, Aaron Wan-Bissaka wouldn't even played that many games coming out of the World Cup, right? So that's one thing. He's playing for his future. But two, he went back to his old stomping ground, which he's been linked to going back to. And he played like a guy last night that was like, I don't want to come back here. I don't want to come back to Palace. I believe in myself. I believe I'm good enough to play for Manchester United. And he was excellent. He really was excellent last night. And I asked the question after the Manchester derby, who is the number one choice at right back now? And it was still the majority of people saying, no, and it's still Dalot, it's still Diogo Dalot. Don't get too carried away. It's a couple of good games for Wan-Bissaka, but still it's Diogo Dalot. I asked that question again today. Who is the number one right back at Manchester United right now? If Diogo Dalot was fit, fully fit for Arsenal at the weekend, who would be playing? I have a feeling it would probably be Dalot, maybe, but I feel like he's getting closer. And again, I don't have a problem with that. That's not... And I don't think that's myself being flip-flopping, you're fickle or you're reactionary. Dalot doesn't play a couple of games now, he's below Wan-Bissaka. Well, I think in the eyes of Erik ten Hag, he might be. Because Wan-Bissaka last night, if you're going to say who was the best United player on the pitch, you'd say it was our right back. If against Manchester City, he played really well. He marked Phil Foden out of the game. So, I think he deserves a lot of credit. And I still think the jury's out. I'm still not sure if Ten Hag's really still totally sold on him. I think that in the summer there still could be a conversation about his future, but given the situation we're in right now, where we're not getting anyone else in January, we're not buying anyone else certainly, we're not loaning anyone else, maybe, very unlikely, we have to do with what we've got, and Ten Hag's getting the most, certainly I think in the case of Wan-Bissaka, out of what he's got, more out of him than I think a lot of people thought was possible, myself included. So I thought, again, he deserves a ton of credit for his performance last night. I think he can certainly hold his head high coming out of that game. And I would suspect that he would play at the weekend at the Emirates. And again, to just show how far he's come since the World Cup ended, that before the World Cup, if you just said play Man City at Old Trafford, Arsenal at the Emirates, Wan-Bissaka at right back, you'd go, Jesus. Like, you'd go, oh no. What's that, Dalot? We're definitely going to lose. We're going to get completely exploited. And now you go, okay, he's playing all right. He played well last night. And make no mistake, with Palace, a lot of their attacks come down the wings. They got tricky wingers. They got fast wingers. Zaha ran away from Wan-Bissaka last night. He actually ran away from him because there was a one-on-one. Wan-Bissaka just got him, and he got him a couple of times. He switched to the other wing. He thought, no, I ain't getting past him this evening. And again, credit to Wan-Bissaka, absolutely credit to him, because a lot of people had written him off, myself included. Jury's still out, but he's doing exactly what he can do right now. He's saving us points. He saved us the game with that tackle at the end, and that's a credit to him, absolutely a credit to him. Now, keeping in with that right-hand side, Anthony, I do want to talk about Anthony because, look, there's been scrutiny. You can't hide from it. You can't dance around it. There's been scrutiny on him. And last night, the scrutiny is still there. You want more. I say this after a lot of performances right now with Anthony. You want more from him. And what I saw last night almost frustrated me even more because Anthony showed me in one instance, in the first half I think it was, he can take people on. He can go past people. Because there was one point, we were on the counter-attack, he ran up the right-hand wing, and he did a little sort of drag over the ball, but he took the player on, he won a corner. And I remember at the time, myself and Louis in the match in UVHQ were going, See, you can do it. Do that more often. But he doesn't. When he gets the ball, it's always cut back, go inside. Run with it, then stop, put your foot on the ball. Not sure what to do. Always trying to cut inside, and it's entirely predictable. It's very, very predictable, and he needs to diversify his game. He needs to show more. And yes, there's a positive in that defensively. He does do his job. Yes, he does support his fullback, and that's good. But you want more. I think the most animated I saw him in the game is when he was arguing with Bruno Fernandes, his captain. And yes, it's going to take time. Yes, I understand the transfer fee is not his fault, and I'm not criticizing him for that. I'm just focusing on the performances. I want to see more. I want to see you go at players, because I've seen you can do it now. So there's no excuse not to do it. And again, I know you can't do it every single time, but you can do it more often than not, particularly on those counterattacks. And again, that's what I want to see more of. We have seen you do it. You can do it. It's in your locker. And you don't even have to go past the player every time. If you win a corner, or if they win the ball, the crowd are with you. The fans are with you. They'll appreciate you trying to take the player on. And for people that are saying, no, that's not his game, it can be, because he showed it. So if he doesn't do it more often, I'll say, well, why can't you do that? And that's what we're looking for. You want to see more, certainly. And to be honest, with an option like Facundo Palestra on the bench, why not bring him on? That's what I would say. I know it was against Charlton in the Carabao Cup. There are levels to this. One thing to play at Charlton at Old Trafford in the Carabao Cup. It's another to play at Selhurst Park. But at the same time, I think he could have been an option. I do think he could have been an option last night. And Ten Hag decided not to. But in the future, why not? If Anthony's not doing anything, bring Facundo on. It can't be much. He'll be direct, if anything that, Super chat here from Amanor says, Owen, worried about McTominay passing this Sunday. Well, again, it's not even guaranteed that McTominay's going to play either, is it? That's the key thing. We're still not really sure. I think that Ten Hag will be looking to figure that out. Laka says, Eric Ten Hag is wrong. Arsenal had Lokonga in midfield at Old Trafford. On Sunday, it's Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard. Going to be a tough game, but it looks like an Arsenal W. Look, we'll see. We'll see. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of Arsenal fans with a lot of revisionist history about that game at Old Trafford, because I saw a game that Manchester United not only won, but deserved to win as well. That game at Old Trafford earlier this season was a lot like the Manchester derby, where, Arsenal had a lot of the ball. What did they do with it? They had one chance. Their other one was ruled out VAR. You can talk about that however you want, but they really only had one chance. David De Gea had nothing to do but pick the ball out of the net. I recall a game that United had the more chances, and Eric Ten Hag was the better coach on the day because Arteta was tactically naive. The pressure should be on Arteta. Get it right. Don't do what you did at Old Trafford. We'll be doing our game. We'll be doing our game like we did against you at Old Trafford earlier on the season. We'll sit back. We'll hit you on the counter-attack. See what happens. That'll be my thing. But I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans with a revisionist history go, no, we deserve to win that game. You did not deserve to win that game. United were deserved winners that game. And I spoke to Arsenal fans after that game, and that's what they were saying. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. VK with the super chat says, I cringe every time Bruno is moved to right wing. Ten will play mid-diamond. Ten Hag will play mid-diamond. Fred, Eriksen, McTominay, and Bruno behind Marcus, Martial, or Wout. Thinking a bit of a change in shape there as well. And Just Josh, graphics guru, visual ninjas in the chat said, we had Sambi, Lokonga in midfield. We ready for you this time? Oh, they weren't ready last time, guys. It's always an excuse, isn't there? We weren't ready. We weren't ready. Now we're ready. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I saw, you know what, for all of those confident Arsenal fans, we're going to beat you regardless. Oh, you're going to come to the Emirates, you're going to get smashed. I saw a lot of Arsenal fans celebrating last night when Casemiro got booked. My phone started blowing up. Social media started blowing up. Ha, 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 ha. Casemiro's not playing. I thought you weren't scared. I thought you weren't scared of us. It sounded like a very scared reaction to, oh, thank God, because we were going to lose that one. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Because make no mistake, with that kind of reaction, if United do go to the Emirates and get a victory on Sunday as well, what's your excuse going to be then? Because I'm already hearing them. It'll be, well, no, it was because of this. Oh, well, it was because of referee. We'll have to wait and see. Anakin Skywalker, I do underestimate your power, and we have the high ground. We'll have to wait and see. Says, you clown! Arsenal ran the show at Old Trafford. You parked the bus and hit the counter-attack. Well, yeah. Yeah, of course we did. And that's why we won. That's what I never understand with that kind of philosophy when people go like, you parked the bus, counter-attack. Yeah, and we won. We won. So, you're delusional, Anakin, as Marquis says. Yes, and go and talk to Padme. Oh wait, you can't. You can't. Yes. It was your fault. You got seduced by Palpatine as well. It's all on you. You're a disgrace. You're a cheat. And you got a weird suit now. You got burned to a crisp on Mustafar. You're not even a real person. I mean, I'm not. You're not even a real person. Let's get some more reaction from this time in UVHQ. I spoke to Mina after the game. Here's what she had to say.
At no point in the game were we able to control it. Like, even with possession, we were sloppy in possession, sloppy in pass choices, shot selections. When people should be passing, they're trying to shoot. When people are meant to shoot, they're just trying to dribble and pass. So it was just, I think, altogether, it was just poor choices across the field. And really and truly, everyone's saying, yeah, we got a point, but I think we dropped 2. I think if you look at it like that, we dropped 2. 1-0 up, 90 minutes, to concede a free kick like that, quality free kick, like, I can't hate on that. De Gea probably couldn't do anything more, except for maybe put an extra man in the wall. He put 3 in the wall. Fred could have jumped. He chose not to. It went over his head. It's really disappointing, and I feel like for a lot of fans, it might have like sucked the life in terms of out of their momentum. But each game as it comes, like, for me, the most disappointing thing is that Casemiro yellow card wasn't even worth it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even worth it. It's like, yes, he had the ball, made a tight pass to Bruno. Bruno's man was already pressing him. Tyreek Mitchell was already pressing him, got dispossessed, and he probably thought at that point it's the best thing to do, which it probably is. Like, in that position, you look at it and think, yeah, that could have been. Could he actually not have done that and just trusted in Varane to beat Zaha in a foot race? And it's just so disappointing, because in that instance, he probably thinks he's preventing a goal. Less than 10 minutes later, we concede with about 2-3 minutes to go. So it is disappointing. You look across like all the performances today, and like I don't want to pick at anybody, because I do think it was a team loss. Like, it wasn't a team loss, sorry, because we didn't lose, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
It genuinely feels like it. And there was so many people that I could be like, oh, this person didn't do this and this person didn't do this. But at the end of the day, you saw the unity amongst the players when Bruno scored and he was calling everyone into the huddle. And I think that will just hopefully continue
That's why it hurts.
around the team. Yeah, I think that's why it really, really hurts. And it makes it worse because, you know, we're going to the Emirates on Sunday, and they're in good form. We are in good form, bar this performance. It's kind of like, it is disappointing.
Big up Mina, as always. She'll be on the match view on Sunday for the Arsenal game. We're going to need Mina's good luck. She's still undefeated. No, she's not, actually, because she lost the first game. But since then, like Man United, lost the first appearance this season. But since then, it's been nearly perfection. A couple of draws in there. But Mina is still got a very strong record. Although she did say, and I was furious with this, she did say at one point during the game, she went, Jordan Ayew's going to score. And I thought, oh, considering what happened at the weekend, I thought she's clairvoyant Mina, mystic Mina, here we go. It didn't happen, but they did score. I do want to also talk about Wout Weghorst. Wout Weghorst made his Manchester United debut yesterday. Difficult one to judge, and it's too early to completely write him off. I think we have to temper expectations. I've been using that phrase a lot recently for a lot of things, but it's true. I think we have to temper expectations when it comes to Wout Weghorst, in the sense that If we were in a financially sound situation, if we had proper money to spend in January, we would not be getting Wout Weghorst. We would not. We would not be getting Wout Weghorst. We have to keep that in mind. So when his touch is a little bit off, or when there's some link-up play that doesn't look great, you go, got it. He's a backup striker. Now, there were some things that he did okay, that I thought he did well. You know, he had a header that kind of landed on the roof of the net. A couple of link-up plays were okay. For the goal, he does make a run which kind of pulls some centre-backs away, which was half decent. He has got no pace at all. I mean, non-existent pace. Because there was one point in the first half in particular, it looked like he was going to be played through, and any striker with sort of half decent pace, you go, he's in, and then he was like, it was like slow motion, it was like Baywatch, it was like, you're like, go on. I go, oh, got it. He's not very fast. So look, Selhurst Park away from home, it's difficult. You know, he didn't get a ton of service, and we'll see. As I mentioned, the thing is that still he's a backup striker. He is on loan from Burnley to an extent, and you can kind of see that. But I'm not going to judge him based on one game or anything like that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. His pressing was okay at points. I'm not going to judge him too much based on one game. I've seen a lot of people go, no, he's just a Dutch Peter Crouch. He's just this. By the way, if he is a Dutch Peter Crouch, nothing wrong with that. Peter Crouch scored goals in his career, and he scored important goals. So if we've got a Dutch Peter Crouch, no problem. As long as you use him properly, I'm happy with that. I do want to talk about Marcus Rashford too, before we move on to another clip. I saw a lot of people really, really critical of Rashford last night, and he wasn't good. It was one of his poorer games. It was like actually Rashford from last season, really, sort of not really wanting the ball enough, wasteful, couple of opportunities. He'd made the wrong decision, wrong pass. I don't want to get too tinfoil hat right now, but my feeling is he might still be carrying a knock from the weekend, because you remember in that City game, we thought he was going to go off at half time because he hurt his hip, and we thought it was, I think it's like a bruised hip or something like that. And he kind of walked around the pitch last night at points where he still looked uncomfortable, and you thought, like, is he 100%? Like, is he okay? I'm sure he wants to play. I don't know. I just got the feeling last night he looked like a lot of people. He just looked sluggish. He looked a bit lethargic. Him and Eriksen, particularly second half, looked sluggish. He was wasteful. But I'm certainly not going to turn on him. I've seen people going, Rashford, terrible. That's the Rashford I know. Oh, Rashford, what's he like? Come on, guys. What, he scored like 9 consecutive games or something like that. He just won us the Manchester derby, and 3 days later we're turning on him and shitting all over him. He's terrible. Rashford, I knew he was terrible. Don't give him a new contract. No, let's calm down, okay? Because he might win us the game at the Emirates, okay? It didn't go for him last night. It won't go for the entire team in every single game. But I think that you could certainly question his decision making and maybe his fatigue. He just looked tired, and again, that's why it's a squad game. That's why we need more people, but we can't get more people. So it is what it is at the moment, certainly. But yeah, Rashford didn't have his best game, but here's hoping he can have a better one at the weekend. Let's get some more reaction. This time outside Selhurst Park. Flex talking to DJ. Here's what DJ was talking. Yes, DJ talks outside Selhurst Park.
Yeah, man, we just dropped off, from around about 60th, 70th minute. And I was saying to you just before we went on air, like, these cold nights in January, you got to come and get 3 points. Can't just expect to rock up to grounds and get 3 points without really performing. Today I felt the boys, felt their own sauce a little bit. And this is just a reality check that we're still not where we think we are just yet, do you know what I mean? So, didn't get the points today that we wanted, but just let it be a lesson to the team today. You know
what was it about the way we played that we were just off it? How do you break that down?
I just think, the first half, we was doing all right. A few sloppy passes here and there, but you can see the boys we had a bit of confidence. But then second half, Palace come out and they're fighting tooth and nail, and that's what we lost. We lost the fight today. They wanted it more towards the end, and we thought we'd just roll them over, and that weren't the case today at all. They fought hard for those points. And as I said, you got to do it in the cold, man. You got to do it on these January nights. You have to. You have to. We didn't.
Does it show as well what Ten Hag's talking about the development of this team? Of like you kind of touched it earlier. You're not quite there yet. We dropped our level against City second half. Then we conceded. All right, there was enough time to fight back. But you drop your level again. You concede. These are the things he's talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, he knows his team, and we've known this lot for a few years now. And those issues are still creeping in right now. They're not going to go overnight. We're on an upward trajectory at the moment, and I trust Ten Hag to try and, he's going to be fuming. Flex is going to be fuming right now. He's going to be fuming with the boys. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were there for the taking today. Palace are crap. They're utterly crap.
And that is the thing that annoyed me about it, is I was saying to myself, sitting next to each other, and I said, they're just giving us the ball back. But as quickly as they're giving us the ball back, we're giving it back to them. It's like we played at their level today, and we lacked a complete intensity in our whole game and just quality on the ball. Just loose passes, lethargic, chasing down, just a generic tempo. And you're right, they were poor today, Palace.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You touched on it there. Intensity. We lacked intensity in the second half, and they just came out fighting. And even though they were low quality, they were just fighting. They were scrapping for every ball. And look, Casemiro's had to, make a challenge, and sadly he's going to miss the next game. But he's been forced into that because we didn't finish our...
Big up, DJ. Good to see him as always. And I think he's right. I think he's spot on. I think just United just lacked the fight, particularly in that second half. I don't know, if it's lethargy. I don't know if it's tiredness. I don't know if it's fatigue.Maybe all of the above. I know I've used 3 synonyms for the same word there, but I read my dictionary this morning. But I think DJ's right. I think it was a fighting situation, and we weren't up for it. again, I think when it comes to Lisandro Martinez, I think he's got every right to be pissed off. He got an elbow in the head, didn't get anything from it. I thought Luke Shaw did okay last night again, down the left-hand side. It's funny, when he plays at left-back now, I like seeing him at centre-back. I like that composure, but at the same time, you've got Martinez and Varane, so what are you going to do? But yes, that's certainly interesting. We got nearly 800 people watching live, 176 likes exactly right now. We can get to 250. We can get to 250 at least. I know everyone's still feeling disappointed. I know everyone's thinking, Casemiro's out, 2 points dropped. I know, but there is room to be positive. That game's done. That game's in the past. Now we look forward for about, in about 10 minutes or so, because I've still got 10 minutes left of the show, which I do have to look backwards, because that's the purpose of the show, Match Day Reloaded. Nevertheless, we can still be positive, and there are still positives that came out of the game last night, certainly. And you know what? To get a bit of positivity, we're going to go to Hayley next. Hayley she's certainly missed positivity, or misses positivity, whatever you want to say here on the channel. Although I do remember that actually this clip starts with a bit of negativity. Nevertheless, here's what she had to say.
I feel like a balloon that's been popped. No, honestly, all my optimism and excitement, it's just been...
Popped.
It's been popped. It's sad. I feel sad. It feels like a defeat. But on the flip side, I still have the belief that we're going to do something.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a moderate United fan. I get carried away. But this tried to bring me back down to earth, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Let's start off with Casemiro then. Obviously, that's the big talking point coming out of the game. We both were worried. We were both worried.
We had reason.
We had reason to be worried. We said, we do believe in him. We believe in his composure. But at the same time, one booking away. We need him for the weekend. Now we're not going to have him. The frustrating thing, I guess, is that he made it to 80 minutes. Yeah. And then it was a silly tackle, and now we don't have him.
Why didn't he get booked in the City game so that he misses this game?
Yeah.
Because I've seen players do stuff like that. I'm not saying this wasn't a big game, but the Arsenal game is bigger. I'd rather have him for Arsenal than have him for here.
Yeah.
Like, I get why Ten Hag made him play, but it's a big loss. No, but I do get why he made him play, because nobody won possession more than Casemiro on the pitch. So he is definitely vital to Ten Hag's plans, and Ten Hag believes in him and trusts him. But let us stand.
And this is the key thing, though, isn't it? Is that, yes, it feels like a loss, but it's not a loss at the same time. We still haven't lost since coming back from the World Cup. On another day, we would have seen that game out, but there are going to be slip-ups this season. There are going to be setbacks, and I guess the important thing would be Erik Ten Hag will learn from this.
Absolutely. He always learns. Ten Hag come out and said he has a plan for Arsenal. This man is not messing around. So I believe when we last lost against Aston Villa, bounced back, we went on how many games run was that?
Yeah, loads.
Exactly. So many, we don't even know how long the run was. So Ten Hag is hurting right now. We all are. And I believe in my manager. He's going to set things straight, and we're going to bounce back.
Big up, Hayley. Yes, we're going to bounce back against the Gunners. And as I said earlier on, I think that's the key thing to get from this, is that so far this season, every time there's been a setback, whether it was the first two games of the season, whether it was in particular out of those first two games, the game against Brentford, whether it was the game at the Etihad against Manchester City, whether it was the game at Villa Park against Aston Villa, whether it was the disappointment in the Europa League when we did win the last game but we didn't top the group, Erik Ten Hag has always learnt from that. And in particular, those big games so far this season, it's only really City away where you'd go, he got it massively wrong, or the players didn't show up. Even when we drew against the likes of Chelsea and Newcastle, we should have won those games. It was, again, about being clinical, about taking chances. So I think that's the positive to take out of this, is that, yes, it didn't go our way, but hopefully we learned our lessons. Yes, yes, we didn't get the goals, but as Ten Hag said, you've got to invest. You've got to invest in getting that second goal, and we didn't do that. We didn't do that last night, but here's hoping we do it at the weekend. We're 4 likes away from 200, by the way, guys. So if you haven't already, click that like button. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club too. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat. You get your badges, your emojis, your exclusive members-only content. You get your members priority chat as well. I don't even know how many emojis there are right now. There's a million of them. You can fill up the chat with them all right now. let's have a look at the highlights from the match view actually last night. Of course, we were in UVHQ. It was myself, Mina, Louis, and Haley. And we've got a bit of a clip here, which gives you the highlight of the first goal that we scored, the Casemiro booking, and Palace's last-minute equaliser. Here's a look at the match view highlights.
Oh, good pass, Rashid.
Come on!
Ericsson, cut it back.
There we are, 1-0.
Take a touch.
Yes! Come on!
Just like
Yes!
that. 1-0, Bruno
Come on!
Fernandes. Come on.
Yes!
Come on.
Composed.
Yes.
Yes.
Nice and composed.
Back-to-back goals for
Do you know,
my
Rashford made a
man.
good.
Oh, again. Sloppy again. Oh, no. That's a word. You done it.
But you know what,
Flipping
though?
out.
Do you know what? He shrugged his shoulders. He said he had
What?
I knew it was
All
going to happen.
because Bruno did
I
something
knew it was
stupid.
gonna
Bruno?
happen.
Bruno did something
you just knew it.
stupid.
Takes a shot. Oh, for goodness sake, it's the best free kick I've ever seen in my life. Oh, for God's sake, in off the bar. 1-1. Oh, it's been coming.
Why is he not celebrating? He didn't play for us.
This is why, when you're you've got those forward moments, you can't be wasteful. Don't be wasteful. Bruno, you're on the screen. Your passing's been shot.
Yes, Bruno, I was a bit upset. I was a bit upset. Slamming the table and Casemiro getting suspended, yes. Look, we look forward to the game at the weekend. Was the... this is my final question before we wrap things up. Was the title talk, or are we in a title race rather, was that talk premature? Probably, yes. I think people had a right to believe and a right to dream and a right to look up as opposed to look down after the game against City. But a lot of people, I shout out Mina because she said this at the time. She said, asked me in February if we're in a title race. Even if you are in a title race, there are slip-ups, there are setbacks. You will not win every game between now and the end of the season. There will be disappointing results. Are we still in one? We'll see what happens at the weekend. I think if we beat Arsenal, we can certainly say we're involved in it. We'll see what happens tonight with Manchester City against Tottenham as well. But as I said, there's still a real long time to go. I really do. It is only halfway through the season. It's only January, towards the end of January. There are huge games still to come. We've still got to go away to the likes of Liverpool, Newcastle, and we've got to play Chelsea at Old Trafford. We've got to go away to Brighton, which isn't an easy game as well. There are still really difficult games to come, and big games for everyone else. Arsenal still have to play Manchester City twice. This season's story is only just being told at the moment. We are nowhere near the conclusion of it. So, are we in a title race still? Well, I would say if we're a point behind City, we're a point, wherever we are. We're still third in the table. So I would say yes. At the same time, we'll see. We'll see what happens at the weekend. Certainly, that could take a massive dent at the weekend. But also, if we win, people will start believing again. It's very fine margins in football, and that's certainly what we're experiencing at the moment. And like I said, I know people's head might be down, and I know people might be disappointed that Casemiro is not going to be available for the game. Lux Hill, there you go, says we're level on points with City, indeed. So yeah, I think that there's still room to believe. And just because of one draw, a draw wasn't a loss. Just because of one draw at Selhurst Park isn't enough of a reason for me to say, oh, we shouldn't believe anymore. All right, it's over. We'll have to see. Josh says disgrace cheat. Maybe he's like Raven Baxter. He's just got a vision of Sunday and he went, oh no, a Wout Weghorst special. Manchester United have won. Disgrace cheat. Or it might have nothing to do with that. He does just sort of walk around muttering that under his breath quite a lot, which is quite concerning. Maybe he's talking about the likes as well. We've still got nearly 700 people watching, less than 250. We can get to 250, certainly. I know we can. I believe in you. But there you go, guys. Appreciate you joining me for another edition of Match Day Reloaded. When I say plenty of content on the horizon, I really truly mean it. Now, between now and Sunday, there is so much content coming to preview the game at the Emirates. I don't want to spoil it, but all I will say is make sure you're subscribed, bottom right hand corner. Click the notification bell because you're going to want to be notified every time we go live or every time a new video is uploaded, because we have got every single base, every single aspect covered ahead of this big match at the Emirates. So now's the time to subscribe if you haven't already. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good Thursday, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Peace.